the show where I take a break from the headlines. From Jaden Jefferson Report Studios, this is Out the Loop. Welcome to Out the Loop. This is the first episode of my short limited series to close out the summer season. And this was a great summer season, mainly because of the fact that we had a lot of big pop culture moments. And to digest them all, I'm joined by a friend of mine, Angela Jennings. Thanks for joining me.
Hi, thank you for having me.
You're the first guest, so I guess we just have to dive into basically what happened this summer. I think the best way to put it was Brat Summer.
Oh, it was 100%. And I think it'll still be a Brat Summer in December with how things are going right now.
Yeah, I think that there definitely is this sense that this summer was, despite all the fact that we had a lot of crazy things happening, a lot of historical events, people were diving into their favorite music artists, and one of those artists was Charli XCX. She released her new album, Brat. Only one of the most clever album promotion campaigns of the social media era. English pop singer Charli XCX's new album, Brat, arrived back on the 7th. Leading up to and following its release, there have been all kinds of takes on the now signature cover. And we really saw something that we don't tend to see with social media and albums that much. It's that the album took over.
Literally. I mean, everywhere I would look, like from looking into politics and seeing it somehow fused in with Kamala Harris's new run for president to like an account I follow for quotes, it's like everything's Brat. Everything's green. Everything's that low quality font, everything.
For me, this was just about the music. And then all of a sudden, everything got political. You had politicians tweeting out that they were Brat. And I don't think I was expecting that.
Yeah, it's like suddenly now you're trying to find your way into this musical scene. But I mean, it is kind of a smart ploy.
It really is. I mean, we often hear talk about the young vote, right? And this is obviously an attempt at getting the young vote. And the funny part is obviously the singer Charli XCX, she endorsed Kamala Harris, but I even saw some Republicans on Twitter using this. So I don't know, is Brat kind of becoming a political thing now? Is it no longer just about electropop? Is it now just politics?
I think people are starting to look at it more like on a deeper spectrum, like what it means. Like I saw an interview where someone asked her like why the whole rebrand, why the whole album cover thing, where it's just literally this aggressive green color arguably, and then this just underwhelming font and one word. But that was kind of the point because it sparks a discussion, so I think it can be used for a lot of different things.
Even seeing how social media like Instagram and TikTok have taken this, I'm not on TikTok, but I see the TikToks in my Instagram Reels feed. And I think that people have really had a lot of fun with this. And I think it's kind of like a masterclass in marketing. I haven't seen anything like it.
No, I mean, really, like from coffee shops, everything. Like I've seen everyone using Brat as like a marketing ploy, and it works because it's just so simple. Everyone can be a part of it.
Whatever she does, I feel like we're going to be streaming anyway.
Oh yeah, there's no way we aren't at this point. I mean, she's flipped genres so many times. I just want to break the rules. I've been following her since since my first ever music account on my iPod when I was like 7. So it's like, how have we gotten from boom clap to 360? Like, it's insane.
I feel like it's also controversial because I feel like one of her early singles that was like one of her big songs that she hates, it was Break the Rules. And she actually said in an interview she didn't like it. But for me personally, I feel like that was kind of like peak Charli before Brat. I don't want to go to school. I just want to break the rules. Boys and girls across the world, put it on our dancing shoes, go into the discotheque.
I mean, yeah, that was like the era when she kind of got out there, and then she started collaborating with like Iggy Azalea and Icona Pop. It was just like people knew about her, and then she kind of became less, I'd say like in the US, less prevalent. Like I have a lot of family in Europe, so she was still pretty big over there, especially in the UK where she's from, which makes sense. And that I feel like that's something that happens a lot with UK artists. They get really prevalent over there and they stay prevalent, and then they'll have like a breakout hit. Like are you familiar with Escapism by Ray?
No, I'm not.
Okay, well there was a big breakout with Escapism. It's a single by Ray. It was released in I think 2022, and now Ray is like traveling all over the US, and like she was in Tokyo I think like a couple weeks ago. So it's like they're waiting for this moment. I think Charli just had that moment again.
She really did. And I think in 2022, she tried with her album Crash to kind of have that US.
Mhm.
And that was a really good album. I mean, it was
Oh yeah.
definitely like traditional pop, but I feel like that single Good Ones, that should have been her US hit. I'm kind of disappointed that it didn't break through.
I know. I feel like that was a big movement for like for personally for like the queer community and like I remember like Crash dominated that year for me. It was like, oh, like there's so many good songs. I'm not gonna get tired of this. There's always something to listen to. And then she came out with the deluxe, but like, yeah, I expected people to see it more. So it's really nice to see this like full circle moment with Brad.
It is satisfying. I mean, seeing her songs on the Billboard Hot 100, it's a really satisfying feeling. When 360 actually got into the top 60, I was like, we have a chance. It's
Yeah, I know. Now it's just like everywhere you look. Like my dad asked me about Charlie XCX yesterday, so I'm like, oh, okay, we've made it. If Gen X is asking about Charlie XCX.
I've heard some thoughts from Gen X about this, and
Oh,
unfortunately, a lot of them are clueless. You kind of have to fill them in.
oh yeah. I mean, I start seeing like different generations, like arguably like Gen Z, millennial type music shows. Like there's this video I saw of this guy, like I think he's like 70, just like rocking out at a Chapel Roan concert. And I'm like, this is what we want. If the nation could be like this, like we'd be great.
We'd be so unified if everybody was just like jamming to Brat. I feel like that would be the thing. We just need a rave. I mean, bring everybody in the country together at a rave, and we would
Oh
see
yeah,
so much more unity.
I 100% agree.
But then again, though, there have been other breakout hits this summer, and we of course have to talk about Sabrina Carpenter because
Oh my god.
so it really took over.
Yes. And then like not even a couple months later she just comes back with please please please.
Obviously, she had her first album that came out. Well, I guess her first big album. She had other albums that she came out with
Yeah.
before she came out with Emails. And I feel like the single Feather, that was kind of the moment that really introduced people to her. It's been a fast time for her career.
Literally. And there is a song on her album called Fast Times. So I think that's very punny of us to just slide that in there.
It
But
really is.
my God, I've been following her pretty closely. Like she's one of my favorite artists since Emails came out. So it's been about 2 years. I was always aware of her, but like I remember it was a struggle to get tickets to see her back in 2023. It was like you kept selecting seats on Access or on Ticketmaster and they kept getting taken away and then finally got them and I was like, ah. And then the venue got upgraded. So there was like 5,000 of us. And now I'm seeing her again in a month in a, what is it, a 15,000 person venue? So it's like, dang, like you explode.
I kind of
Yeah.
questioned the move to release Espresso when she did because I feel like Feather was kind of nearing its massive commercial peak. But she came,
Yeah.
I guess, at the right time because I can imagine as an artist, you have to keep that relevance, and you have to stay fresh with things. And I guess that was the move.
Yeah. And I mean, if she's had that like brewing under the surface for however long now, it was great timing. Like just April, Coachella started happening and then summer, like that was perfectly timed.
And her album is going to be the really big anticipated album. But one album that already came out that I was really excited about was Radical Optimism. And I wish that
Yes.
was more appreciative of what we got.
I was surprised that it wasn't because I keep listening to it and it's a Dua Lipa album, which I think at this point means it is consistently good,
Yes.
high quality pop music, and there's an earworm in every song. And I was expecting more. Like I was like Houdini was pretty big. They say I come and I go. Tell me all the ways you need me. I'm not here for long. Catch me or I go Houdini. But like if you look at Future Nostalgia, like that was just massive. And I think we deserve some of the same recognition here.
I think we do. Like I was very disappointed because I saw Houdini came out right before Christmas, which kind of I feel like solidified its fate. You
Mm-hmm.
knew where things were going to go at the start of the new year. But I really do feel though that album it was probably one of her best yet because the vocals, I mean, the
I
vocals
know.
of that were insane.
And she started covering some more like personal topics. Like it's less, I'd say less dance music and more like emotional dance music. Like I'm leaving an era of crying, but I can still dance while my tears are subsiding.
For sure. Yeah, I definitely do question as well the single choices because I think all the
Mhm.
singles were great, but there definitely were some songs in there I feel that if they were released officially as singles, could have really caught on with even a broader audience, with the people that maybe weren't familiar with her music.
Yeah, so many of them. Like I love What You Doing. Like I feel like that one could have, if she released that as a single, that could have gone really nicely with this summer with Brat. I feel like it's a good vibe.
What you doing to me, baby? I'm scared to death that you might be the one to change me. You're in my head and now you're clouding my decisions. Got me headed for collision. What you doing to me, baby?
I feel like Falling Forever will do it for me. I feel like that's another
Yeah.
one, but I think the most streamed, like non-single track on the album for me is French Exit. I think that has a good sound to
Yeah.
it.
But I gotta hit the road. It's not a broken heart if I don't break it. Goodbye doesn't hurt if I don't say it. And I really hope you'll understand it. Only way to go is a French exit. French exit, ville à l'anglaise.
I love French Exit so much. And I remember when she released like this track list announcement, I was like, whatever French Exit is, it's gonna be good. And immediately, not let down.
Not at all. She never can let us down. I think
No.
that's what we're solidifying here.
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy. I heard Houdini like once and then that was stuck in my head, and then she just kept coming out with more and more. And like I didn't expect such a positive response with Illusion being the third single.
Don't you know I could do this dance all night? Ooh, what you doing?
But people are starting to really branch onto Illusion, and I really like that
Yeah.
because it's such an intricate song. Like when you hear it the first couple of times, it's like, okay, this is just a nice pop song, but there's so much more like melodically. I tend to like geek out as a musician, so I'm like, oh,
I still like dancing with the lessons I already learned. I already know your type, telling me the things I like. Trying to make me yours for life, taking me for a ride.
there's so much going on.
I love it. I think that it is actually the best choice for the third single. And I'm kind of debating in my head still, is this the best single or is Houdini the best single? I'm
I
probably
know, yeah.
decide.
Training season though, I think that was a good choice.
Oh, are you tricky? 'Cause I've been there. And maybe I don't need to learn my lesson twice. But if you really wanna go there, you should know I need someone to hold me close, deeper than I've ever known.
I will say though, we're going into the fall. There's another artist comeback that was announced, and that's Nelly Furtado, Promiscuous Say It Right. She's coming back.
I need to get more familiar with her music, frankly, but I think this whole outbreak, like of more Nelly, and like she's been doing festivals lately, like I'm seeing this, I've been more inclined to like get into some of that older music to see what happens now. And she's just a badass. I love her.
I feel like Turn Off the Light for me is probably one of her best older singles. It's great. I recommend to anyone, but she's coming back. So I guess what we're saying here is that the fall's going to be great too. I don't think that the summer is
Oh
the
yeah.
end of all of our good pop times.
No, I mean this year has been insane and we are just passing half of it. There's still so much more left.
Well, thanks for joining me for the first episode.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me.